What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I'm actually outdoors for once, and we're actually here in Disneyland in Hong Kong. And if you guys don't know already, over the past few months, my wife and I actually moved out of Texas and are now living abroad. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing an update of what we've been up to, as well as how our journey can impact you in the future. So you guys don't know who I am. My name is Sean, and I'm a real estate investor based in the Bay Area. I recently moved to Texas 2 years ago, and now we're traveling the world and we're learning different languages, and by using the passive income that we've made from real estate investing to support our lifestyles. So it's really cool. Like, this is a dream that I've had for 10 plus years, and to finally make it happen is just amazing, right? Like, we're doing all things that I've wanted to do for a very, very long time. So I want to share just our journey, our philosophy, why we're here, and how you can also achieve this yourselves. So the first thing to know is that this kind of lifestyle wasn't always like who we were. Like, I wasn't always able to just leave wherever I want and live in another country. For a long time, I was an engineer. I went to school, got a degree in electrical engineering at UCLA, worked for companies like Boeing and Northrop Grumman. And ultimately, by going to those jobs, I did receive a very nice salary, but I got to see like the reality of working a full-time job. I got to see my coworkers who were just really unhappy with those positions, about how they trusted the company to take care of them financially. But after being with them for 30 plus years, they were getting laid off, they were getting less pay raises than you expected. They weren't even able to buy homes within 30 minutes of their job. So that means their commutes every day were like pretty rough. And ultimately, they just weren't satisfied with where they were in their lives. And they regretted not taking more risks when they were younger. And that made a huge impact on me, because I realized that if I didn't make those moves when I was younger, then 30 years would go by and I would end up just like them. Now, because I realized that I couldn't rely on the company to support me financially and to have them fulfill all of my goals, I started looking elsewhere and understanding that to really be successful, you need to understand finance. You need to understand how to make income outside of a full-time job, and try different businesses. But that ultimately led me to real estate investing, because I understood that real estate investing doesn't require a huge component of luck, right? Like, if you're trying a new startup company or a new real big business, a big component of luck is involved in order for you to truly be successful. But real estate investing, it's just numbers, it's just math. And I started going to websites like Bigger Pockets, listening to a lot of podcasts, and just understanding that if you can buy something at a good value that rents for more than you're paying every month, then boom, you just got passive income right there. And by having enough properties that give you enough passive income, it can replace your full-time job so that you can do something else with your time instead of working. And that's why I started going to different meetup groups and talking to more people in person. And I really recommend that you do that as one of your first steps, because this way you can have all these like weird questions that you may personally have, but you may not find these answers in like a book or a podcast, because no one's going to talk about these super niche things. But if you ask a friend like, oh, hey, what did you do in this particular situation? They'll be able to tell you exactly what they did. Now, again, I knew that I probably wouldn't get super wealthy or super rich from just buying one property, but at least understanding that if I can get enough properties and enough passive income to pay for more than my passive expenses, then I don't need to work anymore. I'm done. I'm good for life. I don't even need to save technically, because the passive income is my savings. It'll cover all my expenses. Now, a big change came to us in 2022 when my wife and I decided to leave our full-time jobs for like the very last time and rely on our real estate to support our lifestyles. So for the first year, we were in Texas. We were just kind of living it out. And then in the middle of last year, my wife suggested that we live in Asia. For me, this is a big step, because I've always been living in the United States. So I wasn't sure how it was going to be to like live somewhere else, live abroad. It was very scary. But for her, she already spent 2 years abroad, just like living, digital nomading. And so she wanted to bring me along. And since I felt like we were in a good position, we don't have any dependents, we don't have any kids, no dogs, we don't have any real like employees in the States, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to take that leap and just like live. But before I could do it, I was scared. I was thinking, who's gonna take care of the business back in the States? What's gonna happen if we have our issues with our rental properties? I was self-managing some of our Airbnbs, and it was just a big challenge to figure all that out. But the thing is, I think we realized that if we don't do this now, it probably will never happen. And I may be 50, 60 years old and just regretting this decision that I didn't take that risk when I was younger, when I had the time, the money, and the energy. There's literally no excuse for me to not do this right now. So we took that leap of faith, and we signed up for a 3-month program in Taiwan. And for me, that was very impactful, because I am American-born Taiwanese, and I know how to speak Mandarin Chinese, but I couldn't read any of it. So every time I would go visit China or Taiwan, I feel bad because I can't read anything, I can't order anything off the menu, I need help from everybody. So to take this class was very impactful to me. And I knew that I could self-study, right? But deep down inside, it's not the same, right? I'm not really gonna study really hard by myself versus going to school in Taiwan. So I thought that was a really cool opportunity, and I said, yeah, let's do it. Because even though we were in Texas, we had friends there. We didn't really have people that we could truly rely on to handle all of our small things here and there. Whereas in the Bay Area, we have family. So if there's an issue with one of my Airbnbs in the Bay Area, then I can ask my dad or my father-in-law to come look at the property. But in Texas, we're kind of on our own here. And the prospect of like managing a property from across the globe was just like something I didn't want to do. So I was really starting to get stressed out. But luckily, right before we left, we got introduced to a property management company who was able to run our deals through as Airbnbs. And honestly, these guys are amazing. I'm very happy with their work, and they've been handling our stuff perfectly. And long story short, even though the jump to go from living and operating everything in America to doing things abroad and offloading a lot of the management has been actually pretty good. Like, we haven't had to have too many issues. Life is very similar to how it was before, except we have less stress. Like, I'm not physically in the business anymore. Now, how is it like being a student in Taiwan? Well, honestly, I would say this experience has been absolutely life-changing. I feel so happy to be able to read Chinese now, and this program was great. It taught me from like knowing absolutely nothing to be able to read like 50% of what I read on the signs and everything like that. And it also felt nice to be a student again, to make new friends, to hang out with like younger people, and yeah, like learn a language. Like, who gets to do that in their 30s? Now, another thing that was kind of on our minds was like the practical challenges. Like, what am I gonna do with my car? Am I just gonna leave it in a garage somewhere for a year? Do I have to sell it? Do I have to keep it? Where am I getting my mail sent? You know, like these are all these weird things that you don't think about until you actually leave the country. Now, another thing that we had to deal with was we had some properties in our rental portfolio that just weren't working out as we expected them to. And this is normal. You buy a certain amount of properties, a few of them are not going to be as great. Now, the thing is, normally, if I was in America, I would try to just hold on to them, keep putting money into them and making them work over time. But since we were overseas, I didn't really want to worry about these properties too much. So we sold some properties because, not everything's going to work out. One thing that we also realized is having properties with a lot of equities is actually really cool. So a lot of real estate investors talk about getting as big a loan as possible and then financing everything, doing the BRRRR strategy to cash out, refinance, and buy another property, and you just have a lot of debt and very low equity. That to us is pretty risky. Like, I actually enjoy having properties paid off because the cash flow is so immense and I can live my life pretty stress-free. Since we've been gone in Asia, our social media business has gone down quite a bit, but our real estate investing business has gone up, and the real estate side is very consistent. So that lets us live our life without really worrying about things. So yeah, like having properties paid off is such a great feeling, and I feel like that's something that's not really talked about very much in the real estate investing space, because most people just want to use debt over and over again to like get bigger loans and then buy more properties. But that leaves you like really scared, I guess. Whereas here, we live very stress-free. So now going forward, I think we're going to focus on bigger properties with more appreciation potential, instead of like having a bunch of smaller deals. Because also when you have a bunch of smaller deals, you still have these big repair costs that cost the same whether it's a nicer property or a shabbier property. And the more property you have, the more costs you have for everything. Like, there's more bookkeeping costs, more CPA costs, more time in your head for like if you got the insurance paid, the taxes paid. So it's a big hassle. So right now we're really focusing on living like our best lives instead of focusing on having more profit. So life's been very chill. We wake up, we do whatever we want, we like live in a completely separate country. So anyway, I'm very grateful for our lives now and our decision to move and travel abroad. We did 3 months in Taiwan, we learned Chinese, we're taking a month here in Hong Kong, and then we had 3 months in Japan where we're gonna learn Japanese. So to me, it's like a dream as well, because I love watching anime, I love reading manga. I probably read every famous manga you could think of, Tell me down in the comments which one you think I missed, but I read a lot, and I love the culture, I love the language, so it'd be cool to learn something new too. And on top of that, we're like way healthier. Like, we're eating healthier, the food's cheaper here, we're walking like 10 to 20,000 steps a day, whereas in Dallas, we're walking between 1,000 to 2,000, so it's a huge difference there. And then as far as the investments are concerned, stock market's up, real estate's doing great, so overall, it is a very nice lifestyle. So all that being said, what does it mean for you? The whole point is, think outside the box. Just because everyone works a job, tries to strive for that management position, or tries to become a billionaire, think about what's really important for you. Is it the super nice car, the super nice house, or is it a life of freedom where you can go travel? I don't know. Like, what is it that is important to you? What are your values? And think about, if that's what you want, how can you get there? For me, my way there was getting passive income through real estate investing. I don't consider myself a particularly amazing investor. I just bought properties that cash flowed. So think about what you want for your life. Think about when you're 80 years old, when money really doesn't matter anymore, when the ego portion doesn't matter anymore. What would you want your life to be like? And kind of work backwards from there. And on this channel going forward, it may not be just purely real estate investing. It could be just like freedom stuff, talking about how can you live your best life. Of course, using real estate investing as a vehicle. So overall, the message is this. Think of what your ideal life is like, work backwards from that. Don't overspend on things that don't give you long-term happiness, and I think you'll be genuinely successful as long as you be consistent and deal with it. I've been on my journey for over 10 years. 10 years ago, I was probably just like you, working a full-time regular job, but now things are different because I put in the effort and I was consistent with it. So best of luck for you guys. Thanks again for watching. If you guys are a little bit younger and you want to find a way to become a millionaire, then check out this video. We're talking about how to become a millionaire in your 20s. Thanks again for watching, you guys. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.